Hey there, friends and neighbors. That fellow over there trying to show you the color of his underpants is Crayvis. Don't mind the suggestion boxes I placed over top of it. This is not how you make friends there, Crayvis. Be that as it may, interwebs meet Crayvis. He's been up here in the wilderness for almost a year now, working on his big to-do list, and today we working on number 2. Gotta get a little bit of water off of this roof. Pictured here, we have one Crayvis building a frame to put a water tank on to attempt to do just that thing, hopefully not losing any limbs in the process. If you were interested in the construction technique, first Crayvis dug a couple of holes, filled said holes with some rocks and some sand, and put a couple of juniper logs on top of the rocks and the sand and the holes. And on top of that, we got a few more, may I say, very poorly notched logs to fit on top of the juniper logs, and a really heavy ass beam, which was cut up into 3 pieces and shall live under the water tank forevermore. And we nailed the whole thing together with some tent stakes and got to do most of that off camera because we forgot that batteries do need to be charged on occasion, don't they, Crayvis? But anyway, with all of the technical garbage out of the way, I suppose now seems as good a time as any to bring up Crayvis's little disclaimer. My guy exists for entertainment purposes only, and if you're using Crayvis as a source of information and kind of a how-to source for your foresting needs, you're liable to find yourself maimed, disfigured, horribly burned, or otherwise injured. So I would recommend against that. See? Well, now that we got that covered, we can delve into a little bit of a history lesson. I don't know if you remember that little list, but object number 1 on that list was power. And power was quite an adventure, and that's what Crayvis has spent most of his time up here so far doing. First he dug his little holes, and then he put up his little frame, and panels got mounted. Would you look at that? Random 7 appearance. He's a good boy. Once the panels were up, it was time to build the solar house. So it involved getting the floor up and some walls, roof. Attempt 1 at a solar system. A deck to put Jenny on. Another attempt at breaking an ankle. On a small side note, I have to believe my boy would be a little bit more steady on his feet if he tied his shoes, but it appears to not be a priority for him, so I don't know, maybe he's living his best life? Stop distracting me with trying to die, Crayvis. Gotta continue our history lesson. Anyway, we had a more reasonable attempt at a power system, and Finally, it worked. Took a fair bit of trial and error, but we finally got there at the end of October, which is the perfect time to not see the sun for several months, but that's another story entirely. We built a side deck for some tooling and all that kind of nonsense, which we're currently standing right next to. Got a roof for that puppy so that we could collect some more water, which is the one that we're working under right now. And took a little while, but we did finally get something that looks like a building over there. So that was pretty fun. And that's pretty much where we're at now. With our little history lesson complete and one final attempt to try to literally break a leg. You do understand that's not what that saying actually means, right, Crayvis? Hey, at least his recovery time's getting better. So, with a little bit more earth to move, some notches to clean up, and some levels to kind of level. Some notchier notches. And notchier. Notchy. Notches. Some of the largest nails that my man could get his hands on. And some of the lowest amount of battery power in a camera. Leading us to exchange old Crayvis for the beginnings of the snowstorm. Freshly recharged camera in hand to collect all of the evidence that Crayvis is about to supply, we join our friend on the hill, attempting to smash the camera. Repeatedly. While Crayvis jockeys around with this tank, I will introduce you to my beautiful, beautiful princess. Yeah, it's the red thing. Yeah, it's that one right there. That's the one. That's the one it is. Right there. How did Miss Princess get her name? Well, if you'll pardon the frozen pickup truck in the ditch over there. Last winter when we bought her, she would not go any further than this spot here. Their spot was covered in ice, and that little tractor was not going any further up that hill. No matter the four-wheel drive or the lockers or anything that she had on her, just wasn't happening. So, in a fit of rage, Princess was born. And after one last attempt on the camera for good measure, he decides to jump down off of the tractor and go manhandle it. Gets the thing roughly in place, and then we have a little bit of a Seismic event? And lastly, Crayvis's adventures with the gutter that won't stretch. After all of that nonsense, got ourselves a frame, a water tank, uh, some kind of goofy noodle contraption that ain't long enough, and the hopes of retaining some water, which doesn't go as well as this particular version of Crayvis would hope. It's a story for a later time. Now is the snow. All of the damn snow. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you.